I'm curious, when did you, as a child-free by choice woman, start to realize that you didn't want children?
I had thoughts about not having kids when I was literally 19, but I never voiced them because that would then disappoint my family. I have a Jewish mother who wants me to have little girls to keep the Jewish bloodline. And then I have Eshan father that want me to have boy, have son to keep on the Chan line. But it really came down to when I was dating this amazing person, but they wanted a big family. They were wanting 4 to 6 children. I was like, who's carrying that? Fucking me. And that's when I realized I don't want to carry anything. So yeah, I tried getting sterilized or having my tubes tied when I was 22, but a lot of the hospitals here are religiously based, so they're like, you'll change your mind. And that's when I found the Reddit post that has doctors in various states that are going to help you to sterilize yourself if you want to. Check out my journey and my Child Free by Choice playlist on my profile.
I'm curious, if you are a person out there, not just women, and you've decided you don't want children, what's the point? Like, what else are you doing that matters? Are you an artist? Are you famous? Are you a singer, composer, sculptor? Are you doing anything that's going to last beyond your lifetime that anybody else could possibly care about? It may seem like a unpopular opinion, I get it, but really, that is the main purpose of life on Earth. All life. Humans like to pretend we're separate, higher, more evolved, but we are part of this ecosystem on this planet. We are a life form, and every single life form has one main instinct, imperative, driving force, whatever you want to call it, and that is to reproduce. And if you're not reproducing, what's the point? Granted, I say this from the perspective of somebody who has kids, so I'm a little biased, say what you will. But I'm just curious, like, what is the point? I have a lot of hobbies, but none of them, not a single hobby, passion, interest, not a single one is more important than my kids. So if you're not having kids and you chose to do so, what's the entire point of your life? Why do you exist?
Start to realize that you didn't want children.
When my parents raised me to be an independent Black woman, but expected me to help my little brother with everything that he needed, and then as I got older, expected me to look after them and take care of all their needs. I'm tired of being a parent.
Free by choice woman, start to realize that you didn't want children.
Well, it started when I was 13 and I had my 2-year-old sister calling me mom because I was the one who actually took care of her. So much so that I literally missed out on my junior high and high school years, like hanging out with friends and doing stuff. I had to be home taking care of her. Mostly because my parents made me, but also because I didn't really want to leave her alone with them because I wanted her to feel loved. And I would think, wow, I'm never going to treat my kids the way my parents treat me, and I treated my sister better. But my mom only got worse to me, and that became into, wow, I don't think I'm ever going to let her see her own grandchildren. She's that awful. But most importantly, it never occurred to me that I had the choice to not have children until I think I was like 19 or 20. Like inside, I always knew I didn't want kids, but that never seemed like a actual choice that I was allowed to have. And That more than anything angers me when people who aren't child-free try to come for me. It's like, did you realize that as someone who grew up in the 2000s, I still felt like a woman from like the early ages who had no choice but to have kids and marry a man. They would tell us we could do anything, but we also had to be a mother. That's why I think the child-free by choice videos are so important, because there are people out there, women like me, who didn't know it was an option.
By choice woman, start to realize that you didn't want children.
Finally, something that I feel qualified to talk about. So I am in my early 30s, don't have kids, don't want kids. But when I was younger, when Britney Spears was like 22, 23, and she had her kids, I remember thinking that I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be a young mom. I wanted to go to college, graduate, get married, and then start a family. And so I did everything up to that last step. And when I got there, it just didn't feel right, you know? And honestly, I've truly never felt the call of wanting children. And when I took a moment to really sit down and think, why did I want this? Why was that the goal, to have kids? And also in contemplating, like, did I really want kids? I realized that goal was set because that's what society told me, right? That's what's ingrained into your minds, especially as women, that you grow up, you get married, and you start a family. And that just honestly wasn't for me. And I currently enjoy the lifestyle of not having kids. We do have 2 dogs, which frankly, that is enough. It feels like a lot to us sometimes, just having to think through if we're leaving the house. Did we take the boys out ahead of time? Are we back in time to let them out? If we're planning trips, even just, a quick weekend getaway to go hang out with family, we have to think through, boarding, anything like that. When we moved, what we were going to do. When we were doing renovations, what we were going to do. And it's pretty easy with dogs still. You can just throw them into a boarding, a daycare, day camp, whatever. All of that is just exponentially more taxing when you have kids.
Child-free by choice woman, start to realize that you didn't want children.
So I actually realized I didn't want any kids at the age of 10. I know that might seem young, but at that age I was very well aware of what was happening around me. That made me say, like, I don't want to put a kid to what I'm going through at the moment. My parents are divorced, and ever since I can remember, every time they've been in the room together, it's just been a ball-out fight. It's just been very nasty, and I've always been caught in the middle of it. I was put in a position where they wanted me to choose sides, even though I said I don't want to. Specifically those words, I don't want to choose. They would be, well, you have to. Because if you don't, because by you saying you don't want to, you're choosing the other parent, is what they would tell me. I was, as a child, I was put in a position to think and act and behave like an adult when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. And which goes back to my point, by the age of 10, I had my little brother with me, and I saw what was happening around me, and I saw how horrible my parents were to each other, and I said, you know what, if I cannot find my person, someone that I know I can stay with forever, I don't ever want to put a child through this. I don't want to be in the divorce this ugly. It was very, very bad. It was traumatizing, and I just don't want to put a kid through that, because I cannot guarantee I'm going to be with somebody for the rest of my life. You don't know what's going to happen. So avoid that, I just decided, you know what, I'm just not gonna have kids. That's just what it is. And my entire family knows, and my family, and they all still think that I'm gonna change my mind. Like, I'm about to be 35, I still haven't changed my mind, and I'm very happy with it.
Being child-free for some reason is like a big thing, in my opinion, when it comes to women. If you decide not to have children, I think there are people that are either like, you definitely do need to have kids, like the guy that we seen in the beginning of the video, and then we have people that are just like, you know, it's definitely your choice, do what you think is best for you. Honestly, for me, at first, having children was definitely like a deal breaker. Like, if you didn't want to have children, I was not interested in the relationship. But around like my late 20s, early 30s, I started questioning, why is it that this was such a deal breaker for me? And what I started to realize is that I think this was something that was kind of ingrained in me. Like, this is something that is going to happen. As you're growing up, even into your adulthood, people will say things like, oh, when you have kids, it's going to be different. And it's almost like telling you, like, you're for sure going to have kids, right? Like, there's no room for not having kids or anything like that. And you kind of grow up thinking that this is something that's going to be in your future, being so busy that you don't even have time for your personal life, personal care. Everything is about your child. Your child comes first. And when I started thinking about it, I said, is this necessarily something that I want? And what I mean by that is, I don't want to be locked down. I don't want to not be able to travel and have the time to do hobbies and whatever other things that I want to explore, because I need to prioritize being a mother. I don't want to do that. Watching and experiencing people in my family or people that I knew raise their child, or just seeing the people out in public with their child, the mothers just seem so overworked, y'all, and so tired and exhausted. And kudos to any parent that is doing it themselves. But oftentimes I would see single mothers with 3 kids in the cart at the grocery store, and she's trying to get them to calm down, and they're all crying and fighting, and she's stressed. And I was like, I don't want that. I would just be like, this is going to be me. This is going to be me. And I'm going to, you know, try to probably juggle work and raising my child. And I'm not allowed to get tired, because if I say anything about me being tired, I think people would come at me, you know, because I see that a lot with women that are mothers. If they say that they're tired or they're exhausted, they, you know, even a stay-at-home mom, they're ungrateful and things of that sort. And I'm just like, man, I don't want the smoke. Like, I don't want those sort of problems. I just want to live my life and be stress-free and happy. I do think that having children could also include happiness for some people, but I don't think it's for everybody just because you have a vagina. Kids are cool. Like, I met some cool kids and I love the kids, but I just never was drawn to them. It's hard out here for many people by themselves. But I think adding a child into the mix, even if you are married, you need to be making a good amount of money. And the way that things were even 3-4 years ago are not the way that they are today. That uncertainty, it makes me very uncomfortable. What does society look like 18 years from now? Like, as far as the economy and as far as all the things going on in the world, I'm like, do I really want to bring someone into this madness? This is crazy for me being here. For me, it's just not a risk I'm willing to take. However, I respect anyone that decides to have children. I think if it's something you are really set on, you definitely should go for it. But I do think people should heavily consider why they want to have children and not just do it out of habit or feeling obligated because you're reaching a certain age and things of that sort. I think that it's a big decision and it's life-changing, not just for you, for your whole family and for whoever you decide to bring into this world. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.